Sagittarius New Moon intention planting ceremony. So this is the time in the lunar cycle where we take a few minutes to plant our intentions at the new moon. So hopefully you have your Foursquare with you or in the members area. There's a really pretty one that says Sagittarius, and you can print that out, or you can just on a plain piece of paper, fold it in half, and you're going to want to note health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression in each of the squares. So they call it the square of life. If you haven't heard me talk about it before, it's inspired by the works of Florence Scovel Shinn, who was a early 20th century metaphysician. I was looking for her books. I've got my stack of books here, and it's buried. I usually read like a chapter of her book a day just to like get my morning started in a great direction, because so much of what we say comes from what we think, and as Confucius says, thoughts become words, words become actions, action become the deeds that we're known for. Our character becomes our deeds. Sorry, Confucius, but you get the drift. And just like setting my mind in that direction always helps first thing in the morning, so that my thoughts are high vibration and positive and joyful, and then my words follow that. And so she's big about the power of spoken word, and how when we speak something out loud, especially in a collective like this, in our tribe ceremonies, it helps, carry it into the vortex of the quantum field, if you will, and we can then step into our future. Some people actually call it remembering our future, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in this ritual. This idea that the future has already happened and we're actually just stepping into it. Just like we would recall a memory in the past, and we can relive those emotions and those thoughts and those feelings by going backwards into energy. We can also go forward into energy. And we will talk about that. But again, you're going to want to set your quadrants: health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Or what we've been playing with a lot, if this is maybe not your first time with this moon cycle, another thing that we've been playing with are ease, flow, connection, and expansion. And those words can mean whatever resonates for you. And you're going to want to note a micro intention and a macro intention for each. Micro being something that you hope that will manifest in like the next 2-week cycle, and macro meaning something a little bit larger that would take some more time to manifest or pop into your reality. Not saying that something can't immediately happen, like a windfall can happen overnight. A miracle can happen, like a healing can happen overnight. There's a lot that can happen instantly, but sometimes like our minds can't quite think that into existence. So it's easier to make it as like a macro possibility that you're kind of moving towards. And then the more energy you put towards it, maybe it'll pop into your reality quicker. So 4 quadrants: micro and macro. Micro being something in the next 2 weeks you hope manifests, and macro being something that you hope manifests in the next 6 months when the corresponding Sagittarius full moon pops up, and that's in like the June time frame. So yeah, it's like summer goals, or in the southern hemisphere, winter goals. So about 6 months from now. Okay, so that is your square of life. And now we are going to do the ceremony, and then we're going to talk about getting into the quantum field, accessing potentiality, and remembering our future. Okay, Sagittarius New Moon, time travel and celestial portals. It's just a jump to the left and then a step to the right. Let's do the time warp again. Okay, I'm not a great singer, but if you know the song, please start singing it in your head. Or if you don't know it, Google it. It's a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Okay. Have you ever pondered the possibility of past lives or portals to alternate worlds or realities? Strewn across the northernmost part of our planet, human-made stone landmarks called inuskuks dot the landscape of the Arctic. Made from mounds of rough stone stacked upon and against each other, the cairns were traditionally constructed by indigenous people to serve as landmarks, guiding travelers on their journey. Traditionally built by Inuits in such a way that allowed approaching travelers to look through the central doorway of the uprights, the structures were designed to bring distant objects into focus, to help hunters and gatherers find their way, and to indicate the presence of other humans in remote areas. Beyond the practical functions as navigational aids indicating coordination points, message centers about food caches, and hunting opportunities, the Nuskuks were venerated for being imbued with spiritual connotations. These ancient doorways marked the ethereal territories of the Inumarine, the Inuit peoples who knew how to survive by using their traditional ways of living with the land. On our journey here in the physical, we can often pass through moments in time where we encounter new people or places that trigger a sense of knowing, allowing us, if only temporarily, to pass through a type of celestial portal. This unexplained affinity to a time period, place, or ethnic group leads some to wonder if the familiarity stems from a connection in a previous lifetime, or even a future lifetime. With the recent advances in our scientific understanding of quantum theory, time travel theories may no longer be a thing of science fiction, as new knowledge begins to overlap with ancient wisdom. This moon will explore new landscapes with a ritual that allows us to paint a portrait of our celestial selves while actively seeking portals to our past and future lives. With love, light, and a kimono, because I had a celestial hat reading once that said I was a geisha in a past life. And if you listen to the Golden Otter radio episode that is connected to this video, I talked to an author about exploring past lives, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I refer to a kimono there. But essentially, this ceremony is to help us get into contact with any past lives that we feel we may have lived and do any healing that needs to occur in those past lives. So something with a quantum field and quantum theory is, and this is science starting to sync up with spirituality and science starting to prove the mechanics of spirituality, is that you can actually go back in time and heal something in a really profound way. So it's just like the act of forgiveness or giving somebody an apology or receiving an apology from somebody when it's like truly heartfelt and it's given and received in equal measure by both parties. That is it's basically time travel, because you're going back in the past to heal something in the present moment. And so with these ideas of parallel lives and celestial portals, the idea of this new moon is to, as you're going through your daily life, your waking life, especially since it's the holiday season and most of us are out in new areas that we don't necessarily go to. Maybe you're going with your family to museums, or you're traveling, or you're going on vacation, or you're just doing holiday shopping, or anything that might have you kind of out of your normal pattern and exploring new areas. Keep an eye for anything that looks out of place. So when I wrote this ceremony originally, my daughters had wanted to go see, we were on a unicorn kick, and I'm from Alaska, and I'd heard that there was a narwhal exhibit in the Smithsonian when we were living in Washington, D.C. So we went to take our girls to the Smithsonian exhibit to see the unicorns of the sea. And it was really amazing, but as soon as I walk in, I saw an Inuskuk sitting there. And I'm an Alaskan girl, and so this is part of our culture. This is part of what people talk about in Native Alaskan traditions growing up. I'm myself not Native Alaskan, but I am native to Alaska and grew up there, learning about the connection with the land and the animals and how to see past the perceived moment, in a sense. And a lot of Native Alaskans will talk about, and natives to Alaska will talk about knowing when an animal is nearby, just sensing it, or feeling a connection with the land that is like an anachronism, meaning it feels out of time and space with the current time and space. And so this new moon, so when I saw that Inuskuk's in the Smithsonian, it was a Sagittarius New Moon. I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been talking about celestial portals and I'm looking at one. And so it was just a time for me to kind of go in and connect with a past life of mine. And then also at the same time, use that portal as a way to step through into my new future life, because we were getting ready to make a big transition. So it was just this really, I don't even know, serendipitous gift from the universe that made me pause and think, wow, what am I releasing? What am I stepping into? What is always going to be a part of me? Because if you believe in the idea of past lives or even parallel lives, meaning in the quantum field, we could be living infinite potentialities. There's a potentiality where you're not living up to your highest self and your highest good, and things aren't in alignment. And that's the feeling that you get in your current life when something goes astray and maybe some anxiety comes up, because it's almost like the energy is attached to another moving life of yours where that is your reality. So you have to sync back up into this one. And then there's this other potentiality where everything is going perfect and you have your dream job and your dream partner and maybe a family or an ideal living situation or an abundant lifestyle or whatever it is that in this lifetime you don't quite have a grasp on, but you are seeking. And whenever you get a lead or I don't know what to call it, like a hunch to follow something that feels good, it's inviting you to sync up with this other potentiality, this other parallel life. And this is when the idea of like soulmates and twin flames comes into play. Like, where are we in this quantum field with syncing up with people who we currently know? This is where connecting with spirit comes into play because, we call it heaven, source, infinite intelligence, the vortex, the quantum field. There's a lot of names for it, but essentially energy never dies. It just relocates. And so if you're living in this potentiality and you have a loved one that you're trying to connect with, but they're no longer on this plane of existence, a celestial portal or a past life would be a really great space to explore this month, going through the ritual to see if you can connect with them in a different reality. Well, you're still very much grounded in this one because healing that occurs in a past life or a present life, even if you're in a dream state, healing can occur in dream states. It's going to affect your waking life and bring you so much more peace and joy and abundance. And so that's kind of what I was talking about earlier when I was saying remembering your future, because just like you can, remember your past, if you can think a future, like if you can think of the future that you want to live clearly enough and focus on it clearly enough, you can actually think it into existence almost by remembering it because it's actively existing in a parallel life. So that's my lesson on quantum physics for today, class. Hope it made sense. But yeah, so take a moment during this new moon to do the celestial portals and then the celestial hat exploration. So the celestial portals is when you're looking for something that is out of this time-space reality, like an anachronism. I've heard of it being like a tile in the floor of someone's home that a guest walked in and they saw it. It was like a checkered tile floor and it took them back to like a different time space reality, like the 1950s where they had a different life. I've heard of a lot of different portholes, if you will, or port keys, I think they call them, where you see something and it takes your mind somewhere else. So trust that and go with that as much as it feels right and good for you at this new moon, and know that you can revisit it at any new moon. But now's a really great time, especially when there's just so much good vibration in the air. It's a really great time for healing and peace and so much future thought, because we are coming to the end of the calendar, of the annual calendar. So a lot of us are thinking of what's to come in the year ahead and the decade ahead. So check out your celestial portals and the ritual. And then the celestial portrait is basically where you are going to get in touch with your past, like a past life, by looking at old images that can make you feel a certain way. Like maybe it's an ethnicity, a place, a food, a culture, a language, a type of music, a type of dress, something that you have a natural affinity to. Now is the time to explore that. Okay, so just gonna see if there's anything else. Oh, we talk about sitting in our power to activate state. That's a really great one. And lastly, this is a great chance in the annual cycle, again, because we're coming towards closures. Even though it's a new moon, we're towards the end of the Western calendar. So now is a great time to begin examining any relationships in your life that just seem to work or flow effortlessly and easily. These individuals could be part of your soul group or souls that you've come across in past lives. Sometimes we come as the teacher and sometimes we come as the student. So take a minute to look at the relationships that are currently in your life and what role you're playing in them and how you can help them remain positive and fluid, and what possible roles you may play for each other in future lives. So is there anybody in your time-space reality now that you feel like you have known before, or you feel like this isn't the last time I will know this person, as in they will exist in a future potentiality for you. And conversely, if you have any relationships that are conflictual, begin examining these connections because they could stem from past life experiences. And now this is a great time to heal and repair those relationships. Or if they're fundamentally toxic and need a severing, now is a great time to sever those energetic cords. We've got information in the ritual for that. Okay, so that is it. It has been such a pleasure joining you in this time-space reality. Hopefully I will see you soon in the space-time reality where anything is possible. And I hope for you, everything you hope to manifest this year is manifesting, and next year and the next decade are going to be so abundant and so joyful and just beyond your wildest dreams. Okay, with love and light, Autumn.